gladiator, prepared for war. I'm a gladiator that will never fall. I'm a gladiator, so I gotta stand tall. Gladiators fight with their backs against the wall. I'm a gladiator, prepared for war. I'm a gladiator that will never fall.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next contest is in the professional featherweight division, calling for 3 5-minute rounds. First, let me introduce you, fighting out of the red corner. He weighed in 145 pounds, stands 5 feet 9 inches tall with a reach of 69 inches. His record, 5 wins, 7 losses. He fights for Team Demolition from Findlay, Ohio, Steve Superfly Smith.
Steve Smith looking very jazzed tonight.
145 pounds of 5'8" stance. He reaches 69 inches with a record. 3 wins, 4 losses, fighting from Team Dignan Broomball Fight Team. And he comes from Portage, Pennsylvania. He's Charlie, the Madman Gathers!
I think we know whose side the crowd is on tonight there, Albert.
It does not need to be said. So we got Steve Smith in the black and gray Jocko shorts, Brad coming out of the red corner. Charlie Gathers in the black and gray Kimura head shorts, coming out of the blue corner. Nice show of respect, touching the gloves.
And Gathers takes center cage immediately.
So now, Grant, if you're Steve Smith, you know you have a victory over Gathers already. Do you think that gives you confidence in your training while you're preparing?
I would say so, but I could also see that being a point of contention in your training. Perhaps you could undertrain in certain areas due to your confidence.
Oh!
Nice wild punch by Smith.
Charlie Gathers often describes his style as he knows how to brawl. He's been doing it all his life. But Dignan Brumbaugh, he also likes to characterize as a ground school.
Smith with his back against the fence. I'm sorry, Albert, continue.
No. I'm just saying, Charlie has to believe his game is complete. I mean, he's striking, he's getting ready to throw sweeps and takedowns. Charlie Gathers looks like he might have the makings of an Americana lock.
Steve Smith on his back. Charlie Gathers in side mount now.
The problem that a lot of folks have when they fight Charlie Gathers for the first time is they're not prepared for how intense he is in the opening round. Steve Smith has already been there. He knows that Charlie's going to bull rush him.
Charlie Gathers is using a very interesting approach right now. He's being very, very smothering, using his left shoulder onto Smith's chin and his jaw. That can make it hard to breathe, and that can make it hard to pace yourself when you're on your back.
Well, he has that arm around the neck, his shoulder in the throat, almost like a Von Flue choke, but he's almost trying to hold on for something like an Americana. If he slips that hand in, we've almost got a modified Cobra.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't want to count out the idea of there being a bicep slicer even here tonight. Both of these gentlemen are schooled on the ground. Submissions between the two of them. Gathers on top.
Last time Steve Smith fought for Gladiators in the Cage, he fought Jason the Whip Willett. He found himself in a very unfavorable position on the ground. You have to think he trained to not be in that position ever again.
Absolutely.
Charlie
Gathers being very patient with his ground game.
But he's also spending a lot of energy on that Americana lock.
Absolutely he is, Albert. Look for Smith to roll through.
Oh, Charlie almost had an armbar. Oh!
And a wild knee and a trip by Gathers.
Now, Grant, would you call it poetic justice if Charlie Gathers won the fight by guillotine choke here tonight?
I would absolutely say that, Albert.
What really impresses me about Steve Smith is he's a scrapper. He goes in, he fights. It doesn't matter the situation, doesn't matter if he feels he's outmatched, he goes in and he fights.
Charlie Gathers is doing a very impressive job of smothering the face of Steve Smith. He's been burying his forehead into the face, keeping constant pressure, keeping on top of him. This is going to be a very good technique.
Oh, absolutely. Now, for our folks who are watching on iPay-per-view, you're seeing Charlie Gathers and Steve Smith put on a great ground clinic. But I want you to know both men do have knockout power in their hands. No matter where this fight goes, it's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. Gathers landing some very powerful blows from the top. Smith looking to lock up the triangle choke, possibly the armbar.
Almost has a go-go plata. And there's the armbar.
There the armbar is in, and it is tight. Steve Smith wrenching on the arm, and that is ugly and deep. Gathers fighting does not want to tap, kicking the leg over, trying to push and pull away from Steve Smith's anaconda-like grip.
Charlie's turning his hand in. He's taking some of the pressure off the elbow, but that still is intense.
Absolutely. It looks like Gathers may be out. And is the case. Gathers on top and repaying him with some ground and pound.
He's repaying him with interest on that. Now see, that just goes back to saying Charlie Gathers is a survivor. How many different fighters have we seen would have tapped out to that armbar? Charlie says absolutely not.
Let me tell you, that was very, very deep, and that was extended, Albert.
Something of a head and arm choke.
If Gathers can manage to get Smith to unlatch his arm, he may be able to pull this choke out. Softening him up with blows to the face. And a tight gable grip for the choke.
Oh,
Smith is throwing the panic punches.
If Charlie Hips were to shift his hips from underneath him, there'd be a lot more torque on that neck and that choke. He almost wants to sit out on his right hip to put the pressure on him.
Absolutely. Gathers now piking his weight, and he got the tap. Charlie Gathers. Win by arm triangle. What a beautiful submission finish by Charlie Gathers.
Let's talk about numbers, Grant. Charlie Gathers just improved to a 500 record. He has wiped that loss. It's clean. It's been vindicated.
Or do you smell a third fight, Albert? Can that happen in Gladiators of the Cage?
Anything can happen in Gladiators of the Cage.
Anything can happen. Sweet, sweet redemption. And now with the replay,
there's that head and arm choke. Charlie Gathers had all the recipe to make that really crank. He needed to shift his hips from underneath him to apply the torque in the torso. Steve Smith said he's okay until Charlie Gathers started to crank. This is where things got tight for Steve Smith. And he taps out, possibly reserving himself to fight another day.
Steve Smith was frantically trying to avoid the choke by using the answer the telephone technique. Did not prove successful tonight as Gathers takes the win. Charlie Gathers celebrating and the crowd is going nuts.
So Charlie Gathers just improved to a 500 record. He's on a 2-win streak. The sky is the limit for the madman.
Now back to our ring announcer, Dan Bogan, for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner at 4 minutes 45 seconds of round number 1 via tap out as a result of the head and arm choke. It was Charlie Madman Gathers!
Very good fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from both of these fighters. They left it in the cage on that one. Charlie, last time I saw you fight was at the Pittsburgh Indoor Soccer Arena in Harborville. A very different madman tonight.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Steve Smith, one tough SOB. Thought he almost got my arm off. He's about to take it home in his book bag, but I always, I hold on, I never tap. I gotta keep going, baby. Thank you all for coming, love you!
Any sponsors or anybody you'd like to thank, sir?
They all know who they are. I love every one of my sponsors. I ain't gonna name you all, but you know who I am.
Nothing worse than forgetting somebody, ready? Let's give it up for Charlie Madman Gathers!
Prepared for war, I'm a gladiator that will never fall. I'm a gladiator, so I gotta stand tall. Gladiators fight with their backs against the wall. I'm a gladiator, prepared for war, I'm a gladiator that will